All right. Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to welcome you all to the April 12th meeting of the Boston Art Commission. My name is Karen Goodfellow. I use the She series, and I'm the Director of Public Art in the Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture. In that capacity, I'm also the Director of the Boston Art Commission. In accordance with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Executive Order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, we are conducting this meeting virtually. To ensure public access to the deliberations of the Boston Art Commission, the public can join this meeting through telephone and video conferencing. For those of you with us today, this meeting is being recorded and closed captioning is available. You can access it at the bottom of the screen. If you have trouble locating the button, please chat us for assistance. And I also ask that everyone update your name and pronouns and to please keep yourself muted while others are speaking. Artworks proposed for the City of Boston property are reviewed at public meetings of the Boston Art Commission. The BAC is the commissioning body for the City of Boston. Working together with the Public Art team and the Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture, the Boston Art Commission is an independent board composed of 2 ex officio and 7 appointed volunteer art and design professionals that holds public meetings to review, discuss, and vote on matters concerning the city's art collection. The BAC has exclusive authority to approve and commission artworks intended to be added to the city's collection or be placed on city property. The Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture and the Boston Art Commission believe that public art is any artwork installed in publicly accessible spaces where they can be experienced by everyone for free. We engage in discussions about public art in Boston in order to foster the creation and collection of artworks that reflect the people, ideas, histories, and futures of Boston, which is the traditional homeland of the Massachusetts people. We acknowledge the continuing presence of the Massachusetts as well as the Wampanoag and Nipmuc peoples. We also recognize the Indigenous peoples represented in the city's residents, in addition to those in the diaspora. Our meetings are generally held the second Tuesday of each month to review current public art projects cited on or proposed for City of Boston property, and we hope you'll continue to join us. The Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture has a dedicated public art team that manages all daily operations and duties related to public art projects cited on or proposed for City of Boston property. This team facilitates the Boston Art Commission's monthly public meetings and manages all phases of Boston's public art projects in collaboration with the BAC, community members, and colleagues at the City of Boston. We are joined today by the public art team, Sarah Rodrigo, Senior Public Art Project Manager, and Trisha Gilrain, Collections Manager, who will be helping to facilitate this meeting. We're also joined by Liza Quinones, Public Art Mural Consultant. We are very excited to be joined by Amber Torres, our new Public Art Project Manager. Amber joined the Public Art team last week. Amber Torres is a Boston-based illustrator, art instructor, and curator. Through her roles as program manager at the Boston Arts Academy, the Boys and Girls Club of Boston, the Elliott School of Fine and Applied Arts, and as host of local media platforms, Good Grown Aesthetic and the Museum TV, Amber has worked diligently to increase access to the arts for artists of all ages. Amber earned a Bachelor of Arts degree in communications from Hamilton College in 2016 and is also an alumna of the Boston Arts Academy class of 2012.
Okay. Thank you, Karen. Welcome everyone. I'm calling this public hearing to order at 4:35 p.m. Today, the Boston Art Commission will be holding its monthly public meeting. I will now take roll call of the commissioners to confirm a quorum. After I state your name, commissioners, please say here. I will begin with John Andres.
Here.
Michael Canizzo.
Here.
Cara Elliott Ortega.
Here.
Robert Freeman.
Here.
Brian Hone.
Here.
And Kim Pender.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum. Our next order of business then will be reviewing the meeting minutes from March's meeting. Are there any comments or modifications any commissioners would like to make at this time? Hearing no comments, I wonder if I could have a motion to approve the minutes from March.
I move to approve the March 8th minutes.
I'll second.
Thank you. Thank you, John. Thank you, Robert. And so I'll read off the roll call. If you're in agreement, please say yes. John,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Farah,
Yes.
Robert,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Kim,
Yes.
and I'm a yes as well. So the motion passes. Thank you, everyone. On the next slide, you will see today's agenda, which was also posted publicly on the city's website, boston.gov. We will begin with the director's report, followed by presentations for review. Okay, I'm going to mute somebody. Thank you. We will begin with the director's report, followed by presentations for review. Before we begin the presentations, we will provide you with information about how you can participate. We will now have Karen Goodfellow give her director's report. Karen?
Thank you, Mark. We have 6 presentations for review today. Somerset's, which will be for final design in Dock Square, which is downtown, and this is proposed by Now and There, a project by Juan Obando. This project is in the process of being approved by property management, and we are in close contact with them, and the dates are still being finalized. We'll also be doing artist selection for a mural at English High School, and that is proposed by the Elliott School. And we'll be looking at projects for Boston Blooms, Welcome Back to Downtown in Downtown Crossing with artists Gina Latham and Jamie Chan, which is proposed by the City of Boston. We have also artist selection for City Hall Plaza public art projects proposed by the City of Boston. And we have final design for The Joy of Growing by artist Mattaya for the Peabody Englewood apartments in Dorchester, which are part of the 2021 Transformative Public Art Program proposed by the City of Boston. And lastly, we have final acceptance of Unus Mundus by artist Monika Bravo at the East Boston Police Station proposed by the City of Boston. We have a few updates to share that you can see on the screen, and that includes 2 major updates on community-initiated commissions this month. The groundbreaking for Freedom Plaza, the future site of the Embrace, a memorial to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Coretta Scott King by Hank Willis Thomas, is scheduled for April 27th at 2 p.m. And bid documents are being created for Douglas Plaza, the future home of the legacy of Frederick Douglass. We hope to break ground this summer, and we are in conversation with the community about the final design of the plaza. Now we'll review long-term city-initiated public art projects. Unus Mundus by Monika Bravo for the East Boston Police Station was installed in March and will be presenting its final acceptance later tonight. At the Boston Arts Academy, the physical elements of Memory Diffusion by Masari Studios were installed in March. Programming and testing will happen in June. The exterior project, The Creative by Simon Donovan and Ben Olmsted, will also be installed this summer. We hosted 2 community meetings last week. On Tuesday, April 5th, we had a Meet the Artist event with Curtis Williams, the artist commissioned to create a mural for the Faneuil branch of the Boston Public Library in Oak Square in Brighton. The second meeting was in Hyde Square, Jamaica Plain on Saturday, April 9th. Artists Christina Perenio and Amin Taj presented their artwork designs for the square and took questions and feedback from both in-person audience and the Instagram live stream. Both of these events were in person, and they were both streamed online where we did take questions. These were the first in-person public art meetings we've had since early 2020, and we're excited to be applying the virtual meeting tools we've learned over the past 2 years to make our meetings accessible in a variety of ways. Continuing this month's updates, we have artist selections for 2 short-term projects at City Hall Plaza for review and vote later in this meeting. We also have a call to Artist Open. You might remember that last month you approved an artist for a mural at the Shelbourne BCYF at Malcolm X Park. The new call is to commission artists for 3 of the 4 basketball courts at Malcolm X Park. For those of you who may not be familiar, the courts at Malcolm X Park are legendary drawing players from across the city and region. This is a really exciting opportunity, and we're hoping to see a lot of our local artists apply, especially those with connection to the park and the leagues there. You can see a link to the call and images from it here, but we'll also add the link to the chat now. And briefly, we'll also review collections projects. Mayor Wu attended a public art walk through Chinatown on March 31st and visited notable artworks in the neighborhood. And as part of that walk, we also saw that the food dogs in Phillips Square and at the Chinatown Gate were having repairs made. Lastly, the Boston Marathon marker by Pablo Eduardo is being repaired this week by the artist and his team before the marathon. And I'll pass back to you.
Okay, thanks very much, Karen. We'll now move on to items in the agenda for review, public testimony, and commission vote. Here is how you can participate in today's meeting. During the meeting, please keep yourself muted. If you have technical difficulties during the meeting, you can ask questions in the chat and a member of staff will help you. After presentations and clarifying questions, the chair, that's myself, may invite public testimony. If you would like to participate, you can press the raise your hand icon and staff will put you in a digital line for comment. You can also let staff know that you have a question in the chat. If you are calling in, press *9 to raise your hand. Please remember to keep your comments on topic and brief. Our goal is to make this meeting a good experience for all so that community members feel comfortable sharing their feedback and questions. Be mindful of and respectful of other people's time when speaking so that other participants feel comfortable adding their comments. You can submit longer written testimony to bac@boston.gov. While you may disagree with other attendees' testimony, you may not interrupt them during their allotted time. Please keep questions and comments project specific. If you're called on, please state your name, title, and if relevant, program or organization. We also ask that you not include pejorative, ableist, or otherwise abusive language in these conversations. All right, our first presentation for review is Summer Sets by Juan Obando. Now and there, and the artists are here to present. Karen, before we get started, is there any context we need to understand before we listen to the presentation?
Yeah, we just want to note that we've been working with Now and There pretty closely on this, as well as our colleagues at Property Management for the citing of the artwork, and Property Management, is in touch and is helping to figure out some of the final details of this. So we will be asking for your review pending their approval, which we think is forthcoming.
Okay, thanks, Karen. So is somebody from Now and There?
I'm here. This is Kate. Thanks, Mark.
Oh, hi. How are you? Nice
I'm
to see
good.
you.
I'm good. Good to see all of you. And yes, thank you to the BAC, Karen, and the whole team there for helping to work with us in property management to make this happen. So hi, everyone. I'm Kate Gilbert. I use the she, her pronouns. I am the executive director of Now and There, and we're a nonprofit public art curator hoping to change the landscape of Boston with temporary and site-specific public artworks. We have at least 29 projects that we've done to date since 2015 with 22 BIPOC artists. We've paid 256 artists, partnered with 85 organizations, 38 locations across Boston, always in lockstep with our friends at the BAC, all to co-create bold public art experiences that open minds, conversations, and spaces across Boston. And our vision is a more open, equitable, and vibrant city. I'm here today joined by Leo Crowley, Leah Triplett-Harrington, the artist, Juan Obando, Bianca Morrow, I think Kenny Mascari is on the call. So we're all here to help answer questions and present Summer Sets. This project for me really harkens back to Public Trust in 2016, which is actually where I first met Juan. It uses some of the same materials, scaffolding held down with water anchors, and also employs local artists in this conversation. Back then, we were talking about words matter. This was during the 2016 election, and we always try and make sure that our programs and our projects are helping to spur on conversations that we're having in the city. This time, we're really talking about symbols versus words and how they define, uplift, preserve narratives, both positive and oppressive. So this is the new commission, taking 2 years to get to this point where we are reimagining our collective role in the construction of public space. We can go to the next slide, I think. This hyper-realistic idealized photo is affixed to a imagine a 28 wide by 16 tall by 8 foot scaffolding. And we'll go through depictions of all of that in a second. It will sit in front of the Sam Adams statue, which is on Dock Square near Faneuil Hall, parallel to Congress Street. The screen is going to show a perfect image, right, of the surrounds, a bluer sky, the windows of the broken windows of Faneuil Hall will be fixed up, all but without a monument. So we can go to the next slide to see this again. So what you're looking at, or will be looking at here, and we've made an extra white line so you can imagine this, is a screen that when you're exactly in front of it across the street from the back of City Hall Plaza or City Hall, you'll just see as Faneuil Hall would be if the monument were not there. Next slide, please. This is in no way a commentary on Sam Adams or on, who is very much a son of liberty, a really good guy, a known abolitionist. There's probably, I think, a good beer named after him, nor the statue, which I just want to remind everyone was erected in 1876 by Anne Whitney and is one of the only handfuls of bronzes by women in Boston. Instead, what we're doing is with Juan creating a stage set, so to speak, something that the public can use as a place to come and have conversations, many of which have started here at the BAC with the various removals of statues over the last year or year and a half, really to reimagine our role in the construction of collective space, excuse me. We're calling on both organic and paid programming to invite the public to take selfies, send postcards to the future, have lots of creative expression that I can get into once we go through some of the basics of the project. So I think it'd be good now to hand it over to Leo Crowley, our new project manager, who can help us walk through what does this actually look like and how is it constructed in space. And I think we can go to the next slide as Leo gets on.
Hi, everyone. I actually think that Leo
sorry.
is going to talk a little bit about Juan Obando first, and then I'll join in later.
Jumping in too soon.
Yeah, thanks so much. I'll just speak really briefly. I'm Leah Triplin-Harrington. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the curator here at Now and There. I'm really excited to introduce Juan Obando. I think a lot of you all might be familiar with his work. He was a finalist for the Boston Artisan Residency program in 2016. He showed at a bunch of venues throughout the city, and he's also a professor in the Studio for Interrelated Media and Mass Art. And we've been working with Juan for over 2 years now, and we're really excited to commission his work based on his interest in creating spaces and to imagine and speculate new and more productive futures. So I'm thrilled. I'm just going to pass it over to him, and he's going to talk a little bit, and then I think we'll go back to Leo to talk about some of the specifications.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for inviting me here to talk. I'm going to try to be brief because I know time is very important in this meeting. So is there a way that we can go back to the first slide where we see the big image of the sketch of how the project would look like? So as Kate was saying, the idea of the project is to imagine what cities will start looking like when in a possible future monuments as a whole, as a form of art, start becoming more scarce around Western cities after many calls coming from decolonial political groups and other revisionist groups call for their removal. And I am very interested in the idea of revolution and what a revolution entails. So what we have seen so far is the idea of takedown of the movement to take down monuments. It's a proposal to erase these monuments from our urban landscapes. But what we sometimes forget as history moves on is that revolutions also require rebuilding. And when you take something down, in most cases, something else comes up and something else is erected after it. And in our conversation, and I think the tension that is being generated by this proposal to take down monuments around many cities in the United States, is that we forget that after the takedown, there has to be a communal proposal of what comes after. So this project kind of like becomes a window into the future in which we're faced with the reconstruction of these sites as communal members of this space, even if we're transitory members, which a lot of people that come through Faneuil Hall, especially around the summer, are very transitory, and most of them come here based on the narratives of history and the narratives of revolution that the city of Boston holds. So the idea of the piece is basically that, to reimagine exactly what happens after a revolution and how do we construct a new future out of the erasure of many things that, as history has shown us, they become, the fact that they are not part of our urban landscape doesn't mean that they're no longer part of our imagination. So in this case, I'm creating kind of like a mirror and a reflector at the same time, because we're looking at ourselves, because many of the interactions that happen in public space these days, especially with monuments, becomes photographic evidence for social media, and there's a lot of traffic in social media. So that also poses the question, are we the new monuments? You know, like, are we in a new era of narcissism in which, for example, many of my students don't know who the people in these monuments are, but they definitely have taken many, many photos of them in public space. And in a way, we are acting ourselves as a new celebration to our existence in this moment in history through photography. So I'm expecting
Thank you, Juan.
that the piece will address both those issues.
Thank
Thanks.
you. Just want to make sure we have enough time for everyone.
Completely. Thank you so much.
Okay, hi, my name's Leo Crowley. I use the he series of pronouns. I'm the new project manager at Now and There, and I just want to talk to you a little bit more about the details of this exhibition. So the exhibition will open in June and run for 1 month. It will remain up regardless of weather.
July.
Oh.
So team Now and There is a little sick right now. You said June, it's July. I just wanted.
Okay, yeah, sorry, it'll open in July and run for 1 month. It will remain up regardless of weather and will be viewable both day and night thanks to external lighting. From the hours of 11 a.m. to 8 p.m., there will be 2 Now and There staff members and/or art ambassadors present who will be identified by branded shirts and will engage with the public, answering questions and dispensing information about the exhibition. Next slide, please. So as you can see on the timeline, which has been updated, but we are currently in the fabrication phase and will be done in plenty of time for the install. We have allotted 7 days in case we experience any weather issues, but we'll aim to keep the installation period as condensed and close to the opening as possible. Next slide, please. So these next 3 slides show the placement of the exhibition. It will be positioned between the Sam Adams statue and Congress Street and be aligned roughly parallel to the street. This will provide the ideal sightline and experience for the greatest number of people. And we've positioned the exhibition far enough into the square to make sure that to mitigate for any crowding concerns. Sorry, I'm going to check back to the slides that we're on. Yep, so here you can see that's the ideal viewer. That's the height of the exhibition, and then the 20 is the height of the statue. And then we can move forward if you want to. Yeah, so that gives you a better idea of how it will look from the side. And then we can go forward one more. So the exhibition components will consist of a single printed blow-through mesh screen that will be attached to scaffolding. The entire structure will be weighted down by water and sit on 12 1x1 screw jacks on wooden pads. There'll be signage that's attached to the structure, and that will include text, braille, and a QR code for audio description. And as mentioned earlier, there will be ambassadors or staff members there who will be engaging the public during the time. We also plan on having postcards that feature a QR code, and those will link to a web page that contextualizes the project. And on top of that, we're also planning on having daily activations featuring paid artists, and we've developed a plan to provide security as needed. Next slide. So this slide provides a more detailed look at the schematics of the structure, including the total weight, approximately 2,600 pounds. I'm sorry, 26,000 pounds. We'd be happy to answer any questions about this at the end of the presentation if you need more detail. Next slide. As mentioned earlier, we have allotted up to 7 days for the installation of the exhibition and 2 to 3 days for de-installation. All materials will be built and staged off-site and then transported over for assembly and installation. Next slide. We've developed a maintenance plan and a site remediation plan that consists of daily inspections by paid ambassadors with a response time by now and there or BRM, our production team, of less than 2 hours should their presence be required. We will also have 1 replacement screen printed in case of any damage or vandalism. Once the exhibition is deinstalled, the site will be broom swept and returned to its original condition. And now I'd like to pass it back to Kate to talk about our programs and partners.
Great, thank you. So we realized that this conversation about who should be memorialized and why and when and how is part of an ongoing conversation, again, that you guys at the BAC have been holding to get ready for it and also to just sort of get everyone on the same page, so to speak. We've been partnering with the Goethe Institute through a series of our conversation series, Now and Their Asks. We just had one last March 22nd on Monument. Next week at, I believe, 7 o'clock on April 19th, we're having a conversation about the role that artists can play in reimagining the construction of public space, and Juan will be there. And then in July, we'll be looking forward towards another hopefully on-site conversation. Those are all on our webpage, nowandthere.org/asks. You can go to the next slide, please, so that people can help get into this conversation. We are committing as Now and There to at least 4 activations each weekly. They're listed here as some sort of loose ideas. One is about the new face of Boston and Bostonians, and using a sort of postcard project where someone can come and use the stage set and then get a printed postcard to send out. Another is talking about a plant exchange, because we shouldn't wait until it's too late to send flowers and give to each other. A third is looking at rite passage and traditions of memorialization, and other workshops that we're just in conceptual design with, including one that would recognize that this will be, well, this was originally supposed to be in June. We just got news today that it'll be in July. We are looking at also recognizing LGBTQ memorials in this. We have a long list of partners, and this is a public invitation to others to join us. Already, of course, the Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture, the BAC, Boston While Black, BAMS Fest, the Teachers Lounge, Lightwork Events, Emerald City Plant Shop, King Boston in Public with DS4SI. And NEFA have already expressed interest, but as Juan was alluding to, and we've all been talking about, we really want this to become an organic space where partners and people who want to talk about who is memorialized, why, when, and how can contribute. I think our next slide might get into some more, I think we can probably skip that, went over the who and why, and maybe get to some questions if you guys are ready.
Okay, great. Thanks, Kate. Thanks, Juan, Leah, and Leo. I think it's fascinating, and it's certainly a topic that we've been thinking about for some time. I could maybe start off questions and then open it up to other commissioners who might have questions. My first one is sort of a pragmatic one, given that that's a incredibly busy and somewhat dangerous crosswalk, where is the optimal site for viewing the piece where it kind of clicks into place, and how close is that to the roadway? And then my second question is what do you experience when you get off? I mean, a lot of trompe l'oeil techniques in the Renaissance. It was always fun to, if you go to an Italian villa and they have a trompe l'oeil effect, it was fun to go off axis too and sort of break the mold. What do you see when you turn the corner, for instance? How much is this scaffold something that's considered in the round?
I think on slide 10, that shows the cross section of the observer. Yeah, that. So the perfect the perfect sort of trompe l'oeil is directly there. It is just onto past the brick onto the pavement there. We wanted to make sure that you're getting that effect, and we also weren't too close to the statue, so that people who do want to see the statue can still come and take a picture with it. Juan can speak more to this, but it is supposed to be looking like a stage set in the round. So, most of the time you're going to see the guts. You're going to see the scaffolding, the water barrels holding it down. It's only when you're in that perfect spot right there in that sort of yellow upright as the observer is when it all clicks together. Does that answer the question?
Sure. Thank you.
One thing I forgot to mention, and we forgot to mention in the presentation, is that the image itself that is going to be printed in the billboard, it's all made through architectural rendering. So it's not a photograph that has been erased of the statue. It's a whole new construction made digitally through 3D renderings. So it looks very much as the renderings that you would see outside of City Hall. The kind of like show you how City Hall is going to look in the future. And they're actually made by, I'm going to be working with the same firm. So it's actually a very idealized image that's coming through in the print itself. And the idea of looking at being able to see the guts on the back of the piece kind of like it speaks to that duality. Like it's very, very, very kind of like even to the point that it's idealistic, a very fantastic image of this kind of like completely sun-washed Boston site. But at the same time, when you see the back, it's very much let's say, in construction. So that speaks to my idea that after the erasure, there needs to come a construction, and the invitation is for people to construct on front of it. And we can talk a little bit more about partners and activations later, but that's the idea.
Okay. So I'd like to open it up to other commissioners who might have questions or comments.
I have a question. And you might have spoken to this. I'm sorry if I missed it, but I guess I'm wondering how you imagine people interacting with this, like with the kinds of like mix of people and the crazy like the guys who jump over like 10 people at a time, all day, every day over the summer, and just kind of like thinking about tourists and families and Kate, like I heard you say it's not like about the Sam Adams like content specifically, but I also imagine a lot of people will have those kinds of questions. So just curious if you could speak to like that experience for somebody and how you imagine that might play out.
Yeah, there's a great series of questions, and I'd love to bring Kenny Maskery on, our community partnership manager. We imagine that a lot of people some people will be confused, and that's why it's really important to have the ambassadors there as long as we can. We're also going out and starting some testing, and we've had to wait for this bit of approval to make sure that we're close to getting approval before we do this. And maybe Kenny can come on and talk a little bit more about that experience that we're expecting the ambassadors and the public to have.
For sure. Thanks, Kate. One of our initial levels of engagement, and we talked about it with the postcard, which is just providing folks with general information as to what the piece is, what kind of reimagining we're calling to do, and then join us in that reimagining process for either signing up for one of the activations that we mentioned, like a Planned Parent meetup that really calls to look into nature and into ourselves as to ways to create healing in public spaces, especially when we're dealing with the construction of new symbols. So how do we create symbols that we experience together? There are other levels through QR code and activation that folks can give us feedback as to what their experiences are and what they would like to see. But I would say the majority initially of what we want to do with the general traffic is providing folks information to let them know that, one, we're being conscious of the moment in which we're in, but we're also collectively creating healing opportunities and off part of the reimagining of symbols for memory. And some of them are probably gonna look to engage more directly, and we're sending them to our website where we have a lot of information with regards to the project and what it calls to do, but also looking to pull different themes to create programming around in order for us to create meaning.
Thanks, Kenny. I also want to underscore that this project is similar both to Public Trust and to the project we just had this past September with the Friends of the Public Garden and Janet Zweig. So we will be sort of in some ways scripting these ambassadors to expect some of these questions where they can say, yes, this is Sam Adams and who it was by, and here's a QR code to get a little bit more information. And we'll be going out in the next couple months to do some test engagements. We can't create something this big to get the full effect, but we do have an 8x8 screen that sort of takes out part of the statue, so we can anticipate what people are going to say and be ready for that, or the questions they might have.
I'd also like to point out that, like, during the hours where it's least engaged, we do have a plan to have security present. So being aware of the safety issues that, you know, might come with overnight hours.
Thank you. Oh, go for it, Bob.
Go ahead, Brian.
Oh, just a quick question, and thanks for the presentations, everyone. Just a question, if you anticipate that a person who is perhaps approaching this piece might not realize that they're approaching a screen if the representation is hyper realistic. Is that something that you've kind of discussed?
Brian, that's a really good question, and we have. It's blow through mesh, and we've used that over at the Mentoring Murals project on Blue Hill Ave and Grove Hall. From far away, it's going to look like this. Up close, it's going to look like, you're going to be able to see through it. There'll be light coming through it. So it's not going to be as idealized as this photo shows.
Okay, thank you. And just thinking one step further about like individuals with low vision or no vision, sometimes for these installations, you'll see, in the front of a piece, there will be something on the ground that indicates you're approaching a structure of some kind. Just maybe something to consider.
That's a great idea. And I know Karen and friends have brought this before the accessibility group department, and we should go back to them and double check that if we need some sort of indicator. Thanks, Brian.
Bob, you had a comment?
I have a question, but I think maybe Kenny and Kate have answered it. And my question is about the observer, the casual observer who is simply passing by. Will the ambassadors be able to record the casual conversations that they may have, or the casual observations that they may have? And I think that's a really important part of getting feedback. And I'm not sure how I would do that, but giving them the code that they can go to and get information, it may not solve it for all the people that are going to have questions and pass by.
Yeah, thank you for that point of reference, Mr. Freeman. With the ambassadors, they do have journals that point at conversations and things that have been brought up that oftentimes memory can fault us, that they're encouraged to take notes. And we've done that with the Janet Zweig project. What do we have in common? And we were able to tell multiple stories around different experiences. So that's an element of with the guides, as one would like to know on a day-to-day what are some of the conversations that are happening, and also for me as partnership manager to inform strategically who to contact. And we've also talked about the placement of a suggestion box, or where folks can in the moment leave thoughts and feedback maybe from the former survey with like an open response. So we are thinking in implementing ways that we can not only receive feedback from the audience interactions, but also attune our engagement to take into account folks' initial responses and needs.
Thank you, Kenny. That was very clear. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I would also add to that Kenny has a really well thought out step and repeat program, which is the smaller sized image where we're going to test, and we have different levels of engagement that we're going to try out to see what's most effective and how we can accurately record all of the reactions that could happen to this piece.
Thanks, Leo.
Okay, everyone, I think we are running low on time, so I just want to see if maybe there's any public comments before we move on to consider vote. I'm not seeing any. This is a temporary short-term piece, so we would just have one round of voting for it. And I wonder if somebody would like to make a motion.
I can make a motion. Oh, sorry. Go for it, Ken.
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
Motion to vote.
A motion to accept the piece or to approve the piece, I think we would say.
Yeah, to approve the piece.
Okay, great. Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, with a second now from Bob, I will read off the roll call. John?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Cara?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Kim?
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well. So the motion passes. Congratulations and thank you, Juan, for a remarkable piece. We look forward to
so
seeing
much. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Nice to meet you.
Okay, so moving on to our next presentation for review is the artist selection for English High School in Jamaica Plain, proposed by the Elliott School of Fine and Applied Arts. Allison Crooney-Moses is here to present. Karen, again, is there any context we need before we review this proposal?
Yeah, just that, we have been working closely. Trisha's been working with the proponent as they develop the proposal. And in your folders, you'll find a letter of support from Caitlin Murphy, the head of school for the English High School. And we also reached out to PS Central, and they're working with the Elliott School in English on finalizing site details.
Okay. Thank you. So Allison, would you like to take over the presentation?
Thank you. Yep. Thank you for having us. My name is Allison Crooney-Moses, she, her pronouns. I'm the Associate Director at Elliott School of Fine and Applied Arts, and I'm joined by Emma Green, our Artisan Residence Coordinator. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yes.
Yep. Okay, great. So we're seeking an approval from the BAC for the Spaces for Belonging mural, the selection process. The project is part of our Artisan Residence program that works hand in hand with our Teen Bridge program. So I thought tonight I'd give a brief overview of both programs and the selection process, and then have a few words from folks in the community that support the project. Slides, please. So Teen Bridge is a program where a dedicated group of Boston teens meet on Saturdays during the school year and on weekdays during the summer from 8th grade through 12th grade to collaborate with each other and teaching artists to develop their artistic, personal and professional skills. Each year, our Artisan Residence program selects a Boston-based artist that engages across the Elliott School's programs. Teen Bridge participants support the artists during the summer in an intensive process of collaborative design, art making, and community engagement, and are paid for their time. Slide, please. So this is our 5th residency. For the selection process of the Artisan Residence program, we issue a call for Boston-based artists to submit proposals that meet the following criteria. They have to work in the field of manual arts, 2D and 3D, fiber arts, architecture, woodworking, really anything that can be supported in our facilities. It has to include a collaborative process that gives teens an integral part of the project.
has to center on a thought-provoking theme that's relevant to the lives of teens and the communities with whom they'll work. It has to incorporate community engagement with the Elliott Schools partners or propose new partnerships. It can take a range of forms, including collaborative art making, workshops, and installation. And it has to have a culminating event with a public presentation, such as an exhibition or an interactive activity or a performance. Slide, please. Oh, and that previous image was designed by Amber Torres that's in the room. So to review the proposals, we convene a panel of individuals from craft art and arts education programs and fields in Boston who are committed to the Elliott School's mission. We judge the final proposals based on the following criteria. So the strength and relevance of proposed projects to the communities, proposed collaboration with teen participants that provides opportunity to advance the teens' practice and their own voice through art. It has to demonstrate the demonstration of community and civic engagement, evidence of prior success working with community-based arts programming from concept to completion. That can be small or large projects, the quality of the artist's work, and the feasibility of the proposed project. So in 2018, we evaluated our recruitment and selection process through an equity lens. And although we were receiving a wide range of proposals, we were primarily getting applicants who were already familiar with the RFP process. And we felt like we were missing more accomplished grassroots artists who represent our community's voice. Such artists are often overlooked by prestigious artist in residence programs, museums, and other gatekeeping institutions. So we wanted to give a greater voice. We also wanted to give a greater voice to our teens in the selection process in order to build their leadership skills and inform the selection. So we adjusted our recruitment process and selection process to add community voice through grassroots artists and arts organizations. And the finalists through this process included the duo Go 5 and Take 1 and Chanel Thurbal. Both finalists presented to our teams, this is an image of one of those presentations where they had an exciting conversation and debate. And the teams were really tasked with selecting one artist for 2021, but instead they decided to select both artists. Chanel Thurbal was the artist in residence for 2021 and Go 5 and Take 1 for 2022. And it's one of the ways that the young people really have a legacy in the program, so that they are selecting an artist for future years, and incoming young people get to work with these artists as well as the upperclassmen, let's call them. Slide, please. So the finalists, I just want to mention Chanel Thurbal and show examples of her work. And she did end up working with our young people, but at the time she was one of those finalists. So Chanel Thurbal, as many of you may know, is a Haitian American artist, an educator that uses varying combinations of abstraction and portraiture to convene communal dialogue and culture, social issues, and existential questions. This piece on the left is from the series called Beaming, an exhibition affirming joy. And the piece on the right is from, it's called Emergence, What Does Hope Look Like, from a 2016, it was part of the summer public art residency. So next slide, please. So I just wanted to show some examples of Go 5 and Take 1, their work that they've installed around Boston. So they were part of both of these actually, they were part of a larger crew producing murals in the city. The top one, titled Boston Strong, was installed on the Clutch Works building in Mission Hill. And this was in response to the marathon bombing and really trying to generate a sense of community and hope after that tragedy. The second image on the bottom was made in 2014. And it was installed on a construction barrier in the south end. And it was really meant to beautify the space and remind passerbyers of the history in the area. Slide, please. And then these two pieces I think are really relevant because they're installed in schools. So that the one on the left is at Davis Leadership Academy. It was installed in 2019, called Black Panther. So it's a combination of the school mascot as well as a student's face, really encouraging pride in who the student is, as well as the school community. And then on the right, Mel King, who this mural is installed at Madison Park Vocational High School, or Vocational High School, and really just paying tribute to the great work that Mel King has done. And I saw it recently, and it looks so fresh and clean. I'm just really impressed by that piece. Next slide, please. And so I just want to end with a couple of photos from the English high school site. I didn't put the entire school there, but you get to see this is a brick wall right by the track that has public access. Everyone uses the track. And so this is a site that Go5 and Take One will work with the teens to install a mural on. This is their primary site that they want to do the mural on. In one of those alcoves there. We just did a site visit a couple weeks ago. So the staff has been really involved in this project from the beginning and has given permission for the mural, and was really continued to be involved, helping us to integrate the student voice as well as the larger school community and neighborhood voice. They'll work with us through the entire design process and for final approval. And then the last slide, can you go to the last slide? So this is just an image, is a secondary site, possible site that's on the entrance of English High School. And potentially we would install a mural on the bottom part of that big tower. And so I just want to give a couple of minutes to Lamerchi Frazier, who can speak to, she was a past Artisan resident for our program and has also supported our teens in selecting other Artisan residents. So Lamerchi, if you're in the room, could you just talk briefly and show support for the project?
Thank you, Allison, and to the arts commissioners. It is a pleasure to be here to support the Elliott School in their fine work with the Teen Bridge Project and all of the artists that have worked with them. Most of them I am familiar with, and I was a resident artist with the teens, and we were able to bring a pleasant, surveyed project to that community. And it was called New Urban Monuments, Stand Up Inside Yourself, which featured the teens as monumental, they themselves taking on that personage and then understanding what they wanted to have and reimagine in their community as important, centered around home. As a process of that, I do applaud the Elliott School for bringing in the element of Teen Bridge to a larger pejorative community space by having festivals and other apparatus that allow them to be in touch with the public. So it's not an isolated type of experience. I think that is very important to having the resident artists and the teens in the space of understanding what community may be impacted by with their art. And so with that process, I am very confident that the Elliott School can engage the students at English High as well as the larger community around the school in having their artists that they support do this project. They have a very, very belabored process in thinking out the curriculum and the way that the students are engaged, and they care. And I think more than anything today, sensitive, mirroring, community, and caring is what artists need to have as a baseline requirement for public art to happen in any community. And so I am very confident that through the leadership of the Elliott School, that a mural project would be extremely successful and interactive with the students at English High and the community.
Thank you, Lamerchi.
Thank you both. So I'd like to move it to just clarifying questions. And again, I might start with the first one. I just do want to clarify that this is an artist selection process approval of Go 5 and Take 1 as a joint team. Is that correct?
Yes, it is
Okay.
correct.
I just wanted to make sure that that was the.
Yep.
I did want to say one more thing about those artists, that they have been artists who have been very responsive to communities where artists are being displaced, and they work in tandem with the students in ways that are really remarkable. So I just wanted to add that, sorry.
Okay, thanks, no problem. It's good to hear. So let me open it up to commissioners. Any questions or comments that you'd like to make before we move to a vote? Hearing none, I may see if there's any comments from the community, any public comments that anyone would like to make at this time.
I know Caitlin Murphy's in the audience, the principal from the English high school. I'm not sure if she wants to say anything.
Sure. I'm just happy to be here and happy to speak in support of this project. We've had a fabulous partnership with the Elliott School, and as you can see from the pictures, our building is in need of some beautification, and any opportunities for our students to engage in public art, and opportunities for them to have this sort of exposure to the possibilities around public art, and seeing art as both something that's a personal creative expression, but also can be a way to advocate. It really aligns well with our school goals. We've been working very hard over the last 4 or 5 years to expand our arts offerings. We see it as really critical for students' development to have a strong base in a variety of arts. And so we've been able to do that in many ways because of our partnership with the Elliott School. And so this is a natural extension of that partnership and deepening, and I think a nice way to celebrate our students' voice and continue to deepen our connections with the surrounding Jamaica Plain community, because this is in a spot that is accessed by many members of the community throughout the day and on the weekends, and is a nice way to sort of continue to build the bridge. And I think, in this post-COVID year, the idea of having the outside of our building reflect this idea of spaces of belonging, which is what we're trying to do inside of the building, is also, really speaks to the work of our school community. So we're just grateful for this opportunity for our students and to continue our partnership.
Okay, thank you. Seeing no other public comments, I wonder if we can move to a motion. My one small thing I might make as a scholar focused on concrete architecture: be careful about painting over concrete. You might consider a site that's not concrete because it can cause long-term damage to paint it, although it looks like it may already be painted. Anyway, just a thought from an architect who focuses on concrete. But that's not necessarily relevant to our artist selection process, just a recommendation to consider. Do I have a motion that we can entertain?
I can make a motion. I'll make a motion to accept the recommendation of artists Go 5 and Take 1 for the murals titled Spaces of Belonging at English High School.
Okay, great. Thank you, Brian. Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, was that John?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, John. So I'll read the roll call, and please say yes if you agree with the motion. John?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Cara?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Kim?
Yes.
And I am a yes as well. So congratulations. Thank you very much for, we look forward to seeing how this evolves. Okay. So next up, it looks like we have a short-term mural installation as part of the Boston Blooms Welcome Back to Downtown Crossing block party happening tomorrow. The artists are Jamie Cheng and Gina Latham. Karen, are you going to address context?
Yeah, I think just to add in here that this is an exciting activation of Downtown Crossing, and we're really grateful for Liza Quinones, who's been working with us as our mural consultant, who is project managing this as well. And we're just very excited with the artists that she's connecting us with, and that we have a lot of other programming happening down there too. But today we'll be focusing on these live murals.
Thanks for the intro, Karen. Again, my name is Liza Quinones. I use the she, her pronouns, and I am the mural consultant working with the Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture. So Mayor Michelle Wu announced a new city event during Marathon Week called Boston Blooms. It's a block party that will take place tomorrow, Wednesday, April 13th, and is meant to welcome people back to downtown Boston now that most pandemic restrictions have been removed. The goal is to bolster our local economy by encouraging everyone to support Boston's downtown. The all-day event will be held between South Station and Downtown Crossing and will consist of food trucks, live music, local performers, street art installations, and a pop-up beer garden. Should be a good time. Hopefully the weather's nice. Today, I will be sharing some information about the live art activation that will be set up on the sidewalk located on the corner of Summer Street and Hawley Street and pictured in the top right. Through past experiences and activations, we have found that live painting events to be fun and to be a fun and engaging experience that all event goers can enjoy. Next slide, please. So 2 artists were selected to live paint at tomorrow's event, Jamie Chan and Gina Latham. Both Jamie and Gina are emerging artists in Boston's street art scene and were chosen based on their past experience with fabricating, developing, and setting up a live painting activation. Jamie Chan is also known as an artist name by No One Famous. He is a mixed media graphic artist based in Medford, Massachusetts. His techniques and use of media are very diverse, blending graphic design techniques, hand-cut stencils, paintbrushes, spray paint, palette knives, drippings, and splats. He is best known for his graffiti abstract backgrounds of bold geometric shapes in bright, flashy colors, which draw inspiration from the 1980s. The intention behind No One Famous's artwork is to inspire people to enjoy their daily lives more by beautifying the spaces they occupy one space at a time. Gina Latham is also an artist who goes by the artist name Flower Bomb. She's a Boston-based interdisciplinary artist. Creativity has been part of her life since childhood, but she did not discover her true passion for the arts until 2020. She creates using a variety of mediums, ranging from resin to acrylic, as well as spray paint. Gina embraces the unknown and enjoys the vastness that is creativity. Because of this, she is always experimenting with new and different techniques. For her, art is about expressing uniqueness that is inherent to us all, as well as maintaining that childlike wonder that pushes us to explore our curiosities. Through exploring her craft, she hopes to inspire others to explore theirs fearlessly. Next slide. So their painting is called Metamorphosis. It's a collaborative piece pictured on the top left. It symbolizes the regenerative energy that springtime brings. In the painting, there is a set of hands depicted releasing 4 butterflies against a vibrant, colorful background. Butterflies are representative of renewal, hope, endurance, and the courage to embrace change with power and wisdom. With the uncertainty that the past few years have brought, this piece was created to inspire, uplift, and encourage us to step into this new season with a sense of optimism and poise, the same way that butterflies emerge from the cocoon.
Again, the top left image is their digital mock-up. The images to the right of it represent some of the painting, layering, and stenciling techniques that will be applicated live to add dimension. The live painting will take place from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. and the artwork will then remain displayed for the duration of the event. The dimensions of the piece will total 5 feet high by 8 feet wide. Two 60-inch by 48-inch wooden panels will be propped up on easels and clamped together with heavy-duty C-clamps. Sandbags will be placed on the foot of the easels to provide extra stability. After the event, the painting will be hung in an empty storefront window provided by the downtown bid and possibly later moved to City Hall.
Okay, thank you very much. That's exciting. And how do you know how long it'll be in the window? Is that an expected thing, or it's a few weeks or longer?
I don't actually know at the moment. I'm working with another staff member at the Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture, Tom Johnson, to determine that. He's working with the bid on determining those dates.
Okay, great. All right, so
We
let's
also
open
have
it.
the artist here, Gina.
Oh.
I believe Gina Latham is here and is available to answer any questions, should you have any.
Gina, are you ready for tomorrow?
Oh, hi, everybody. So excited for tomorrow. I think this is going to be a great time. It looks like the weather is going to be great. And I look forward to connecting with everybody. And yeah, just having a great time.
Great, thank you. So let me open it up to see if any commissioners have questions. Seeing none, I'll open it up to any members of the public who would like to make a comment or ask a question. Seeing none there as well, then let's move this to a motion. Do I have a motion to accept the proposal for this piece?
I'll move to accept the proposal to continue with this piece from the Boston Blooms.
Great. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Kara. So next up, I'll read the roll call. Please say yes if you agree with the motion. John?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Kara?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Kim?
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well. So the motion passes. Congratulations, and we look forward to seeing this at the end of the day tomorrow. It's so rare that our votes lead to a work of art appearing almost overnight, but this will be exciting for us to all see. So thank you, everyone, for making this possible. Okay, our next presentation for review is for the artist selection of the City Hall Plaza art projects. There are two, I believe. Karen, are you?
Yeah, we're really excited
Sarah.
about, can you hear me?
Yes.
Thanks, Mark. We're really excited about these projects and, you know, we'll have artist selection here for you, but we're going to have Sarah Rodrigo, if she's willing, present on the process we've had and the recommendations we are putting up for your review today.
Thank you, Karen and Chair. The City Hall Plaza project is a in-process construction project right now, being managed by the Public Facilities Department with a design by Sasaki. Among other goals, the plaza renovation seeks to renew the cultural and architectural legacy of the plaza and create a welcoming civic and front yard for City Hall. The renovation will include interpretive wayfinding, including nearby landmarks and open spaces. The renovation work is taking place in 2 phases. The first phase is underway, and it's expected to be completed this summer. These commissions, envisioned as the first of a series of artworks for the site, look to recognize and celebrate the stories of Boston and City Hall Plaza. The first opportunity is the feature wall. The city's identified the new display system on the west exterior wall of City Hall as a rotating artist opportunity. We convened a working group to review portfolios and artist submissions for this project. And the working group is recommending artist UK Lee for this commission. These are 4 examples of her past work. The artist proposed a project called The Eyes to the Future. With the block-like layout, the 5 panels will act as windows that lead from the past to the future. She'll use figures, landscape elements, abstract shapes, and patterns to depict a harmonious parallel world, showing a diversity of people and of natural elements. The work is intended to light up the neighborhood and strengthen the connections among all residents and visitors, becoming part of the atmosphere and the neighborhood. The working group felt that Lee's sense of color and playfulness and her busy yet balanced compositions would resonate strongly with anyone who visits the plaza. The second opportunity was for a short-term public art project in a planting bed by the newly, to be reopened north entrance to City Hall. And you can see here there's a steel sculpture placeholder where the project will be sited. For this commission, the working group recommends artist Ria Vedro. A number of her past works are shown here. Ria is proposing a large sculpture inspired by a native water bird, as avian imagery is rich in symbolic meanings. Her intent is to use welded steel sheets over a steel armature and incorporate cement and small prismatic elements that capture sunlight. An integral part of the project will be a series of community workshops where attendees can participate in object making. The working group felt that the organic, natural forms of this artist's work would complement the architecture of both City Hall and the plaza, and they loved the idea of the community participation elements of this project. And that's the recommendations.
Okay, thank you very much, Sarah, for all the work on that. Exciting to see things coming to fruition in our own home base. So I want to open it up for any questions or comments from the commissioners at this time. Hearing none.
I just have a real quick question about the length of display. How long will these pieces be on review for?
We're anticipating a year, although it's a little bit TBD, I think, especially with the short-term public art piece, because that would be a more intensive installation than the feature wall.
Got it.
For us, short-term is 5 years or less. So.
Okay, other questions or comments? Can open it up to members of the public. Any comments from members of the public? All right, hearing none, I'm going to ask for a motion, and I wonder if Brian, you might do the honor since you had the question.
Sure. Yes, I can make a motion to accept the artist recommendations of Ria Vedro and UK Lee for short-term installations at City Hall Plaza.
Great. And do I hear a second?
I second that. Oh, no, Michael, you go.
Well, we'll count Michael's as the actual second. Thank you, Michael.
I will second that motion.
Well done, sir. Now I'll read off the list of commissioners. Please say yes if you agree with the motion. John?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Cara?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
Kim,
Yes.
and I'm a yes as well. So the motion passes. That's great news. We look forward to seeing these pieces in the future in the base of our the place where we all are supposed to be meeting in the future.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, we have a presentation for final design of the Joy of Growing mural. Karen?
Thanks. This is another one from our transformative public art program that Liza Quinones is acting as project manager for. So I will pass to Liza, and we are really looking forward to hearing more about this design.
Hi again. We are excited to continue the Transformative Public Art Program with the final design presentation of Mattaya Fitz mural concept for the Boston Housing Authority's Peabody Englewood apartments, one of several murals that are slated for installation this spring. This mural site is located in Peabody Square in Dorchester at 1875 Dorchester Avenue, and was identified and chosen in partnership with the Boston Housing Authority. Peabody Englewood is a warm, welcoming community that offers a variety of living arrangements for low and moderate income elderly and disabled persons. Next slide, please. So our artist, Mattaya Fitz, is a visual artist whose practice encompasses a multidisciplinary approach within a studio and street art discipline. Using figurative elements of abstraction, Mattaya depicts aspects of the human condition in a multi-layered way, inviting the viewer to interpret the work through a lens informed by individual and collective and cultural narratives, Earth's ecology, and divine femininity. Using vibrant color palettes, her often fantastical artworks appear as images in which fiction and reality merge and meanings shift to create new worlds and characters that continually evolve. This slide here are some representations of a couple of her large scale pieces, as well as some of the electric boxes that she was commissioned for in the city of Boston. And it's always exciting to see the emergence and the progression of artists who are able to, work on a small scale on the electric boxes and move themselves into larger scale pieces. Next slide, please. On February 18th of this year, Mattaya conducted an engagement session for the residents of the Peabody Englewood apartments to provide them with an opportunity to meet the artist and be part of the concept development phase of her mural design. Mattaya guided the group through a presentation of past large-scale mural projects, her ethos as an artist, and questions on self-care, joy, and nature to further inform her concept and design. Overall, the residents who attended were enthusiastic about the mural process and the vibrancy of the initial colors presented. The images here were captured from the engagement session. I will now introduce you to Mattaya Fitz, who will talk through her overall mural artwork concept and the different components of her design.
Hi there. Thank you, Liza, for the introduction. I am going to share with you guys the narrative description of these two concepts. So just to give you some background information, so you know what you're looking at. This concept, titled The Joy of Growing, is centered around themes of personal transformation, self-care and love, and a relationship between ourselves and nature. My goal in painting this mural is to create a visual metaphor that reminds us to honor and love ourselves in all stages of our life journeys, looking inward so that we can extend that energy outwards and contribute to the care of our communities and the natural world. Depicted here is a woman dressed in yellow, standing in tree pose, or Rikshasana, if you know your yoga poses. The use of tree pose is directly inspired by the trees that surround the bottom of the wall at the Peabody Englewood wall. It is also inspired by the practice of yoga, which originated from ancient India and as a whole is intended to support one's physical, mental, and spiritual health. By standing amongst the trees in this way, our protagonist is embracing them in their continuous state of change while acknowledging and maintaining her own self-awareness and grounding energy. Our protagonist's hair is composed of milkweed, which is a sole source of food for the monarch caterpillar, pictured in the design, the one holding the red balloon. And it's also food for butterflies. So the butterflies incorporated here are the monarch butterfly, which is native to North and South America, and the peacock butterfly, which is found in Europe and Asia. Both are species that migrate long distances, but here they're resting or eating before they take off for their next endeavor. The monarch caterpillar pictured here is in the state of feeding so that it can enter chrysalis, which is the phase of metamorphosis that takes place before a caterpillar becomes a butterfly. Its size is exaggerated here to emphasize the importance of appreciating the early stages of growth, which is often overlooked during one's transformation. It's also a visual nod to the Maya Angelou quote that you might have seen in the previous slide that says, "We delight in the beauty of the butterfly, but rarely admit the changes it has gone through to achieve that beauty." Lastly, the heart-shaped balloon tied around her arm is a reminder to practice self-love and care, but to remember to extend that love to her community and beyond through upwards movement. The background pattern that you see here is a visual cue that represents flow, energy, and a state of chrysalis. And as you can see, there are two color palettes used in this concept, and both are intended to evoke calmness, softness, and warmth, juxtaposed against the rough brick wall surface that you see. That's the end of the narrative statement. I also just wanted to give a nod to Letitia Raymond, who I believe is here. She helped to coordinate the engagement session, which, as Liza said, was pretty successful. I think one thing that I'm looking to get feedback is which design is more successful. Both are the same pretty much, except for the background. And I just couldn't decide. So I'm gonna leave that up to you guys. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. It's always interesting to ask the commission what they think on something. So let's open it up to any comments or questions from commissioners.
I have a comment. First of all, thank you for the presentation, and Mattaya. My name is Robert Freeman. I'm a big fan of your work, as a matter of fact. At Sportsman Tennis Club, I think the mural is just unbelievably beautiful. I love the way that you use different color systems, particularly in the shadow areas of darker skin tones. Anyway, I'm learning from you. I had a comment about the mural that we're looking at here, and that was that and it's really kind of almost like a recommendation. The mural at the Sportsman's has this dynamic to it where there's overlap in objects, and that brings the figures in the tennis players forward a bit, so that there's this almost a perspective set up in a more dramatic way. In this particular mural, your figures are the caterpillar, the balloon, and the butterfly are almost of similar size. And I was wondering if you wanted to, you could make them in various sizes, and I believe it might add to the drama. Or you could perhaps maybe even overlap in some way, and that could add to the drama. The trees that you have a photograph of the trees in front, and that really, I think that gives the perspective of drama also. But the mural itself, I thought you might want to have at least some overlap or some change of sizes of the elements that surround this fantastic, beautifully drawn figure.
Thank you so much, Robert, for that feedback. I'm glad you admire my work. I can definitely see that. And when I was designing it, I thought of making the caterpillar like even bigger, because I really do want to stress the importance of like the early stages of growth. as compared, like, as opposed to like the latter part. So that is something I am definitely considering. And I thank you for pointing that out.
You're welcome.
Other comments from commissioners? Hearing none, I think we have a comment from Boston Housing.
Yes, hi, thank you. Thank you to the board. Glad for this opportunity to be here and speak in support of the mural. My name is Letitia Raymond. I'm the Director of Resident Engagement and Empowerment at the Boston Housing Authority. And I'm just excited for this opportunity, for the vibrancy that Mattaya explained. I'm really looking for, and I think the residents are too, based on some of the reaction and comments we have towards the color that's going to come to the site. I think Sarah explained, like, this is in Peabody Square. It's in like a prime location of community activity where it's diagonal. The map doesn't show, but it's diagonal from Ashmont train station. So I think this is just a really positive way of bringing a more of a connection of the building and the residents into the community. I think it would be a nice landmark other than saying Ashmont Station. We have like a new landmark with this mural. And hearing Mattaya's explanation or description of the art itself, I think really ties into the narrative we would want for our building for the elderly and disabled residents that live there. And, you know, just one other thing I mentioned about the trees is one of those planted and as a memorial for a longtime resident leader. So I just think this ties in so perfect to what we want the building to mean and how we want the building to be represented in the community. So thank you, Mattaya. And if it's worth anything, I do not have a real art eye, but the purple is very common to me.
Okay,
I find it have very common, but blue is a BHA color. So
That's
thank you for that.
half and half advice, huh? I did get a text message from Kim Pinder in our chat, and she's in a place where she can't speak up, but she said, I think the blue is perfect because of the illusion it will create with blue skies. If the blue were even closer to the sky color, then the figure would appear floating in the air, dissolving the wall. So one recommendation. Any others from commissioners or members of the public who would like to speak now?
I would just say real quick, Mattaya, I love the way that you're incorporating the brick. I think in that kind of sweeping motion is really nice, so that the brick becomes an element of the mural itself. And then two, I think I would side with Kim and say that the blue, I do like the blue.
Cool, thank you.
Right, you got 2 votes for blue now. All right, so seeing no other comments, maybe we can open up to a motion. I wonder, Bob, if you'd be game to make a motion? Actually, can I just clarify one thing with Karen? Karen, are we voting on, what are we voting on right now?
Sorry, so for this project, we're hoping to move it forward. So this is a final design.
Okay, so it's final design.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
I move that we accept the mural project by Mattaya Fitz at final design.
Great, thank you, Bob. Do I hear a second?
I will second that motion.
Okay, thank you, Michael. I'll read the list. Say yes if you agree with the motion. John?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Cara?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well. So congratulations. We're excited to see this come to fruition sometime soon. Thank you, everybody, for your hard work on this. Okay. And last up for the evening, I think, is our final acceptance of Unus Mundus by Monika Bravo. Sarah will be presenting.
Thank you. The artwork you're about to review was commissioned in 2019. You last saw this project exactly 1 year ago in April of 2021, when the final design was approved. In the intervening year, Monika and her team and contractors, including her studio manager and production manager, Sana Lopez Abion, Franz Meyer of Munich, Tri-Pyramid, and BRM Productions, and I think we have Bianca here with us tonight, overcame schedule delays, the vagaries of international shipping, and a host of other challenges to create the incredible artwork you're about to see. We work with many partners on this project, and I particularly want to thank our colleagues in facilities, Brian Melia and Evan Brinkman, the Boston Police Department, and the officers from District A7, many of whom enthusiastically joined the workshops that Monika led in 2021. And Josiah Stevenson, Jim Vogel, and the team at Lears Weinzepfel Associates, who were wonderfully supportive of Monika's work and process. And I see Josiah is also with us tonight. And on to the artwork. Unus Mundus, One World. Monika and her team have provided us with a wealth of information about maintenance, materials, and construction, which have been shared in your folders. The photographs you're going to see are by Monika and Felix Bartesch from Franz Meyer of Munich. I'm going to read the project overview as I go through a selection of images and then share a short video that Monika and her team created. And I'm running 2 screens, so we'll go through this very calmly. This public art commission consists of mosaics and mobiles. The mosaics, composed of different shapes on 2 walls, refer to the original topography of East Boston, which used to be 5 separate islands that were later covered in landfill, integrating separate elements into a whole. Images of historical photographs and parts of vintage maps superimposed and embedded within depict glimpses of the landscape of parks that have since been demolished, shipyards, an eagle, the Watchman's Police Department, aerial images of the airport, tying in East Boston's history, economy, and culture in layers of meaning. The mobile's playfulness brings diversity to life with the metaphors of the mosaic, a whole from parts, glass, transparency, and a play of light, ever changing, the ephemeral nature of art and being, which invites the opportunity for the fusion of unique vantages. The project appears different from every angle. As the viewer moves around, our potential can be embraced in what we as a society can overcome, even while witnessing in each other opposite poles. The mesmerizing environment invites the audience to mutual participation, to an experience of synthesis and communion. Let's see if we can get the video to work. And I'm going to have to go to a new share. Thank you all for your patience. All right, let's try that again.
Unus Mundus. The spirit of the piece is the potential for dialogue. With courage, find a vocation embodying your perspective to serve in community. The shapes of the suspended float glass are abstractions of these words. using a modular typeface from Joseph Albers that was created in 1923 for the Bauhaus movement, consisting of 3 shapes: a square, a circle, and a quarter circle of the same radius organized on a grid. The glass printed ceramic mosaics on the wall behind the mobiles represent the original 5 islands of East Boston that became one with the landfill that was used to make the airport. This fragmentation, separation of the internal self is reflected in society these days. My intention for the piece is to invite viewers to move around the space, embodying the various perspectives, seeing it as new, and in that be in the potential for dialogue. Glimpses of vintage maps and photos, topography and architecture printed on the ceramic are embedded throughout the mosaics and share layers of meaning. My main focus is authenticity, with the piece serving as an invitation to experience the material from its different vantage points, incorporating beauty as a lofty expression of materiality and the freedom felt by not trading authenticity for safety. Part of the process of conceptualizing the piece was a community engagement workshop in which I created a whimsical space to explore and identify the differences in emotions, perspectives, and sensations in the body. I embody my own perspective and no longer seek any truth. My vision is a synthesis of all disciplines, guiding me to manifest a reality that matches my desire to evolve. With deep commitment, I create mesmerizing environments for public spaces. I enjoy directing and producing diverse projects, from complex multimedia installations and public art commissions to artist books, textile design, and community workshops. Thus, I see no boundaries between the applied and fine arts. I would like to thank everybody that was involved in the fabrication, installation, and production of the piece in Boston and elsewhere. Thank you. Monika Bravo, 2022.
I'd like to note that Monika is also here with us tonight. If the commission has any questions for her. There's just a few more moments for us to experience the artwork.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. I think these are
Bonus
always
wonders.
joyous.
The spirit
Oh,
of the piece is
Apologies.
the potential for dialogue.
that's okay. I think these are always joyous moments when we're actually accepting a work after all these years into our collection. So that will be the task today, but I wanted to open up to see if there's any questions from commissioners or comments they'd like to make on the work that you just saw.
I just wanted to say that it's been so great to see this come to fruition, and I just think that like everything from the colors to the difference between the mobiles and the works that are on the wall, like it's a whole experience, and I think brings something to our collection that we just haven't had yet, and that's just so exciting to see. So thanks to the team and to Monika. I'd be curious, Monika, how you are feeling about it now that it's installed, and just like any of your reflections, but just wanted to share that it's just really great to see.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm very emotionally connected to like seeing it and showing it to you guys. It has been a very profound project for me internally. I have grown so much as a human being. I had to train myself in many modalities so I could understand what the concept of dialogue means, because this project speaks in many levels. It's not just about the colors or the materials, which are really beautiful, but for me, it really speaks about a place in history that is so important for us to really reconnect to ourselves. So I'm very, first of all, I'm very, very grateful to the city of Boston for giving me so much trust. I had never done a mobile in my life. And when I don't know, I ask. So I was very, very happy to be able to hire the best people, to work with the best team, with the architects, with the city of Boston. This has been probably my most incredible experience in public art thus far. I work with a lot of people, but this one, from the beginning until even today, it's just been such a beautiful, beautiful opportunity for me to express myself creatively, but also how I feel and I connect as a human being. So I really thank you for that. And I am very emotionally connected, and thank you. I don't, lost with words. Thank you.
Great, thanks. Other commissioner comments or questions? We can get Monika talking even more. Sounds like it's that you're really wrapped up in this work, and it's beautiful. And I would also like to shout out to the architects. It's a beautiful space to have a beautiful work like this in. The two work, it looks like to me, very well together. The kind of continuities of the space and the way that the art unfolds over that space is really lovely.
Yeah, it faces east, south, and west, so the light comes in differently against the glass all day long, and it's surprisingly. I was surprised. It was really nice to see the work evolve, but once it was in, it was great.
Thanks, Josiah. Any other commissioner comments? How about members of the public? Anyone from East Boston? I don't think that we have anyone. Okay. So seeing no comments, we have now our last major task ahead of us, which is to accept this piece into our collection. And I wonder if somebody would like to make that motion.
I'll make a motion to accept this piece.
Okay, great. So Kim has made the motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Okay, that was John, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, so John seconded. I'll now read off the list and say if you agree with accepting the piece into our collection. John?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Cara?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Kim?
Yes.
And I am an enthusiastic yes as well. So congratulations, Monika, and the entire team on some really great work and something that adds to the wonder and excitement of being a resident of Boston. So we look forward to seeing this piece in person someday and to celebrating it.
Woohoo! Thank you so much.
Okay, so our last action then is a motion to adjourn. Would somebody like to put a motion on the table to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn.
Thank you,
I'll
Bob.
second that.
Okay, Michael seconded that. So I'll read down the list. John?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Cara?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Kim?
Yes.
And I am a yes as well. So the motion passes. We are officially adjourned. Thank you, everybody. And I hope to see some of you maybe out there in downtown Boston tomorrow to see some art going up in process. I'm excited about that. Or maybe we'll catch each other in East Boston to see some hanging pieces by Monika or somewhere else in the city. Enjoy the day. It looks like it's a beautiful evening. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.